Wow. We finally made it to the end of our programming, where we covered a lot of material and hopefully inspired service in the public interest from the examples readers set. And so, here is Bill on the final chapter.
Thanks, Elizabeth. You have been wonderful this session. And now our last chapter in an outline to achievement. Chapter 14, Week 6. Retire in Economic Indifference. With the race to millions of this or that no longer an immediate goal, and the whole concept of economics mastered and remastered, the potential energy to do one thing or another remains as we retire in economic indifference. With the economic race neither decisively won nor totally lost, we begin to philosophize on it, when we are outmatched and exert its power, when we have the upper hand. The nature of its power, we think we don't need it, if we can't afford it, and if we can, we immediately take possession of it. But what does money actually mean to us, as some say they love it, while it is actually just numbers on a page in a book or some type of computer program? Sure, it is a thing, but to say you have some means that you have something that represents that thing. And since we can't walk around with all our possessions, we take what pocket change we have and buy lunch. Some people want to feel less bulky, so they liquidate their assets, while others who have the room buy things to fill up their area. We all reach a maturity level that affords us the opportunity to retire in economic indifference and life happily ever after. Thus, the essence of motion is reborn as we scale down our previous hopes and aspirations, accepting employment, harvesting what crops we have planted, and attempting to balance what budget we are afforded. Accepting employment, we begin again to retire in economic indifference. You don't just accept the first boat to sail to New York, because you have to live under another's auspices, and they have certain terms to which you must agree. So, when the right opportunity arises, agree to your terms, show up early and complete as best as you may the specified task set before you to complete. You have certain terms and conditions to your employment, such as working in a safe environment, pay that ensures financial dignity, and a reasonable workload where you don't have to rush, which affects the quality of your work. Show up early for work, as they say, in time, on time, except for a little ahead of time, which is always better time. So, get appropriate sleep before you are to go to work, and have your attire pre-selected, so that it will be easier to leave home and get to work early. Give an honest day's work for a reciprocal pay, so complete your specified tasks by approaching them with a positive attitude. Start the task or tasks prepared with the proper tools for the job, and so that you will have no hold-ups which lead to excuses, go by the book. It is always best to do as done before, as innovation is not suggested in lieu of the book, but vice versa, and only when necessary. You could be a sharecropper or even one who picks cotton, but we all have a harvest season or time. For some it is once every 2 weeks, and for others like the sharecropper once a year. Some only sell Christmas trees, once a year, while others sell things others need every day like toilet paper. So, in whatever you do, gather together your money's earned, because you don't want what you have in excess of. Those who grow corn don't want the corn but its fair market value. If you have hours that you have worked, you don't want the time back but its equivalent in economic potential. So, add up the number of hours you worked, number of jobs completed, and calculate the percentage of profit accrued. Of this harvest, estimate funds due such as personal expenses, business expenses, and industrial taxes, so that you will know how much you have spent providing your corn, work, or time to the market. Subtract the funds due from the gross income gathered after selling your harvest, work, or time to the market to determine your net profit. After determining how much your work is worth to the market, you'll know if you are living check to check, in the middle class, or at the max in upper middle/lower upper class. The economic caste system has yet to be exhausted, but you can determine if you want to look for other employment and get back in the race for economic superiority, which is just an illusion. Having had just about all you can take on this economic roller coaster of ups and downs and never being satisfied, we attempt to balance the budget one last time before we get off. The first step before getting off is paying off all debts incurred, which include regular maintenance, monthly bills, and other annual fees. Apart from any company or organization, we do the only thing we know how: carefully invest in the future of those closest to our person. In that, charity, time, and influence are spent where we feel would be most helpful to others who have yet to read #biological machines and are still trying to reach their glass ceilings. Preparations for war as the only assurance of peace become a necessary pastime as the sarcasm of the jester attempt to bring laughter where nothing is funny about the dollar. We do so in defense of our territory, where threats to justice shall be suppressed at all costs. Retiring in economic indifference, there are a few things which must be done. First, one must accept being employed by another. Secondly, whatever one does, one must harvest one's crops, and finally the budget must be balanced. Accepting employment, certain terms must be agreed upon, where a safe environment, financial dignity, and a reasonable workload are a few of the several. Accepting employment, one must show up early, so appropriate sleep, having attire pre-selected, and leaving home early become necessary. All jobs have to be completed, so approach them with a positive attitude, start the task prepared, and go by the book. When the time comes to harvest what has been planted, gather what has grown, estimate what's due, and determine your profit. Gather hours worked, jobs completed, or ears of corn grown. Estimate what is owed out of your business and personal expenses. Rate yourself to see if you are lower, middle, or lower upper class. Balancing the budget, we must pay all debts incurred, carefully invest into the future, and prepare for war as the sarcasm of the jester proved too much as we attach threats to justice.
And that, my friends, is a wrap. Congratulations, we made it. We are going to take a few quick questions before the exam, so readers can finish and have more time to work on papers which are due by noon. Office hours are from now until 12. Thank you for helping us brighten our community through knowledge. You being better people makes the world a more orderly and beneficial environment and heightens the atmosphere within the vicinity. As far as luck in the future, you won't need any, because the training through this outline will ensure achievement more often than not. We are for the future now.